Well, did you ever go looking for something and find something you really didn't want to find? Well, being that you guys are interested in some of the characters I hung out with back in the day, what happened was I was looking for some information about a place I used to work at to wrap a story around it, sort of use it in that context. And the place was Sunrise Texaco in Lyndhurst, New Jersey, on the corner of Rutherford Avenue and Orient Way. And I wound up working there, or being trained there as a mechanic by a guy named Charlie Matthew. While I was digging up this information, I stumbled across his obituary. He passed away last July. It sort of like hits me a little bit hard because going back then, this is the guy who trained me to be a mechanic, a guy I closed many a bar with, a guy who got us thrown out of many a go-go bar, but he was a good guy, and he was also responsible for keeping the cars running on the set of Crazy Joe, Law and Disorder, and a couple other movies that were shot in New York because he went to school with the head prop guy at United Artists. So whenever they did something, close to the city, they called him. I got dragged into the Law and Disorder thing. My toolbox was in some other movie because I came to work one day and I'm like, where's my fucking toolbox? And he goes, well, Charlie needed something for a prop for this movie, so yours was a lighter one, so we took it. I'm like, okay. So, like I said, I learned a lot from the guy. I think if you read my autobiography, A Whole Bag of Crazy, I wrote about him in there, some of the stuff he used to pull in the go-go bars and things like that. We were a bunch of assholes back then, but something, as much as we were a bunch of assholes and jerk-offs and whatever, one thing we did is we respected each other and we had each other's backs, and that ain't around anymore. And I would hate to think, but I'm pretty sure that out of that whole crew back there, and there was a bunch of us back then, that I'm probably the only guy left. And another situation, Liquidators, Rockaway, whatever, I'm the only fucking guy left, which is kind of sad when you think of it. But as far as, the memories, and somebody said on Facebook, it says a lot that you remember this guy. And I said, well, I remember all these guys because, like I said, we all, and as much as we were, sometimes the worst of the worst, the one thing we had was, we watched each other's backs. We gave a shit about each other, I mean, Charlie fired me eventually. I mean, I fucking deserved it. I did something fucking stupid. And, but it actually worked in my favor because I went back to the other place I was working at and got a better deal and stayed there for quite a while working on cars. But we would run into each other occasionally. We both drank at the same watering hole. Charlie actually sang in a barber shop quartet. He was a trained singer. He grew up that way. You would never know it to look at him. He had, I used to go over his house after I closed up on Sunday nights, and if they were having dinner, they'd invite me to dinner, or he'd pull out this bottle of tequila, because I was a big tequila drinker back then, and it had a worm in it, and it was all cool. From what I understand, he closed up the place, or I know they were condemning gas stations in Lyndhurst because all the tanks were leaking underground. It seems he went back to Port Authority and became the head guy over there as supervisor and head mechanic and stuff like that. And from what I understand, he retired in 2007 and just hung out. And he was only 9 years older than me, 79. So I don't usually do this because I swore off this stuff, but certain occasions warrant certain shit, and this is a nice little shot glass full of George Dickel's finest. So to you, Charlie, thank you. Sorry you're gone. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to run into you sometime, but maybe I'll see you again sometime, and we'll sit at that bar, harass some fucking dancers. Maybe Turk will be there, the other Charlie, Mike, a bunch of the guys, Keith. So till that day, my friend, thank you, and vaya con Dios. And that's our show for today.